They're always cute. But I feel really good when I'm able to give them fresh compost, complete with all the little buggies. They're able to go searching for them, because that's where their real nutrition comes from, is the insects. They need the enzymes. They're so cute. So this is ground up chicken feed, high protein layer feed. Sometimes I also give them the pellets ground up, but this way they actually learn how to eat little seeds and stuff and not just the pellets, so it gives them a variety later on. And as they get older, I grind it less and I add birdseed to it. But the most important thing for them is the compost, complete with little buggies. It has to have little buggies. And this is what they're doing. They're going around and they're being little birds, searching for the buggies that I just put in there from my compost. Now, as the day goes on, the buggies are going to be digging further down into the ground. So that's fine. Tomorrow, I just mix the ground up and it brings them up to the top again. And then when I see that they're no longer digging or pecking at buggies, I go get another bucket of compost to put in. Now, it doesn't have to be a big bucket of compost. I just put in, a couple of handfuls, and it's enough for them for a couple of days. But I find that this is what keeps them healthy. It keeps them from getting wry neck. It keeps them from getting sick and just suddenly dying. So I'm really, really happy that I brought them in, because it poured a bucket. It really, really rained hard, and it was windy, and these guys would have just been washed away. So I did the right thing, and they're happy. Currently, I have one heat lamp for them during the day, but at nighttime I have to add a second one, and I put it right here. And the reason is that they like to wander, even in the dark or in the early morning. And I think it's especially in the early morning that they start to wander in search of food. And sometimes I have found baby chicks on the opposite side of the pen, not the side where the heat is, and they're cold. One time I came down and I found 5 chicks huddled together, all dead from hypothermia, even though they had a heat source, but they were on the other side of the pen, and they just didn't know how to get back. In the wild, they would be near their mom, and anytime they felt cold, they would just run under their mom. And if they had a shared mom, because sometimes they have 2 or even 3 of them, they would just go running under the first one that was the closest. But that only lasts for a couple of days. And that's usually not a problem in the wild, because where these particular quail, their habitat is, they hatch out in the summertime, and it's warm enough so they can survive. But in these intermediate seasons, it's not warm enough at night, and they don't survive, which is why I have found quite a few little baby chicks in the quail pen in the morning, having not survived. I didn't know they existed. Now, if you noticed, where are they at? They're all huddled under the heat source right now. They were over here, searching around, running all around. Now, the compost is a little bit cool because I brought it in from outside. And you see now they've gone running back under the heat source. But when it's the early morning, I think they are disoriented or something. Maybe it's too dark, I don't know. But I found that it's just better to have a second heat source. And then I just take away the second heat source in the daytime, and they manage just fine. Now, if I left the second heat source in the daytime, 2 things would happen. The first thing that would happen is that they would overheat, because they would have no escape from heat. They would just overheat. They would get sick because they're too hot. And the second thing that would happen is that they wouldn't ever get used to not having any sort of heat. Because I've noticed that, when they're outside with their mommies, they'll run around a bit and then they'll come back to their mommy. And they'll run around a bit and then they'll come back to their mommy. And that coolness actually, I think, helps to stimulate feather growth earlier. In the past, when I have had them in complete warmth, it took forever for their feathers to start growing. But when they had the opportunity to go in and out, their feathers would actually come in on time. And it makes for a healthier bird too, because their bodies learn how to regulate the differences in temperature. How do you like how they've stopped just to look at me? They're cute. Very cute. I use the ceramic heat lamps. They have a very even heat. You don't have an area that is hotter than the other areas, and you don't have this focused heat pattern. It's spread very evenly. Also, they don't give off light. And by not giving off light, it means that the bird's natural day cycles are not disturbed. I find that the birds quiet down. They go to sleep at dark when I use this type of heat lamp. When I was using the bulb light, the red colored light, the birds were not settling down. They were just all night. Their sleep patterns were definitely destroyed. So I find it much healthier. I also don't have to worry about these breaking as much. I don't have to worry about even myself getting burned on them. They're smaller, they're more compact, they stay inside, well protected. And when I put it down here, it doesn't burn anything. It doesn't heat up too much. So I find that to be very convenient. I mean, the ground will heat up, but if I dig down maybe like a centimeter, the ground is still moist underneath. So it's a much, much nicer heat source for the birds. And there's something I want to say about their water. So you can get these little watering dishes for small birds. Something that looks like this. And this is fine, except little quail can drown in them. So you would have to fill in the little dish with pebbles. And I do that. And, it's a lot of water. It's, about 1 liter of water. So why don't I have that one in here now? Well, because currently that one was being used for the parakeets as an extra water source for them. But aside from that, I have found that these bird waterers are excellent because, one, the chicks don't drown. I don't have to put pebbles in them. The water is just that, water for them. They just go, stick their little beaks in, and then they're done. They don't poop in it. In the other type of water, they will stand there and they will poop in it. And people are always like, why are my birds pooping in the water? Well, I think it's a natural instinct. They just go and poop in the water. It could be because in nature, they'll poop where there are streams, or it takes away the scent, or it keeps the worms and other bad bacteria from developing. I don't know. That's just a theory. Anyway, so I use the bird waterers for my quail chicks, and it keeps the water clean. They don't step in it. They don't drown in it. It's very, very convenient. There's no waste. They can't spill it. They don't knock it over. So it's very convenient. So I highly, highly, highly recommend the bird waterers.